I spoke to some of the refugees here in Nairobi, and their trauma is quite obvious, that they need healing, they need support. But also, there are reported to be 70,000 people still missing and unaccounted for in Darfur.
Leo Bazal III has been confirmed as the next U.S. ambassador to South Africa. The conservative activist and media critic has pledged to advance President Donald Trump's invitation to Afrikaners to be what he calls unjust racial discrimination. He was confirmed in a block vote of 97 nominees on a party-line vote. All Democrats voted against the confirmation. Shawan Bryce Pease reports.
Bozell might be eager to get to work as the next U.S. envoy to Pretoria. He was nominated in March and said at his confirmation hearing that it was a challenging moment for U.S.-South Africa relations. He also said he planned to press South Africa to end proceedings against Israel at the International Court of Justice, where the charge is genocide in Gaza, and promised to advance President Trump's invitation to Afrikaners seeking to flee South Africa. He'll replace Reuben E. Brigety II, who stepped down in January, and into a delicate moment on all diplomatic fronts.
The Border Management Authority in South Africa says it is experiencing a shortage of staff this festive season amid increased cross-border traffic volumes. However, it has received a shot in the arm with law enforcement personnel deployed to assist. BMA Commissioner Michael Masiapato says they were operating at 24% capacity. Masiapato conducted a walkabout at the Vicksburg Port of Entry in the Free State Province.
Yes, indeed. During this particular period, as the Border Management Authority, we become seriously pressured to be able to deliver on this mandate, primarily because you will be aware that we are operating at 24% in as far as capacity is concerned, whilst we are actually in a bit of shortage, over 70%. So that is the unfortunate reality. However, what we ended up having to do is to actually get to be assisted by other role players.
The BMA, meanwhile, says it is concerned about the high number of immigrants intercepted for illegal crossings at the borders. Spokesperson for BMA, Mim Mokgotsi, says they are working on fixing vulnerable areas at the borders to ensure legal entry of immigrants into the country. Mokgotsi added that Lesotho nationals are the most intercepted group of illegal migration into South Africa. This as the officials are working with the South African National Defence Force and police to ensure a safe passage through the border. Mokgotsi elaborates.
We need to look at the vulnerable areas as to what are the issues for the Basotho nationals to be continue to be the highest to be intercepted. We understand that they remain without documents. Most of them is undocumented. Others are overstayers who have exceeded the days that they are allocated. So we are here as well on an educational drive to ensure that information is shared in terms of the requirements and hear from the travelers themselves what the challenges are.
Violent protests have erupted in several cities across Bangladesh this after a leader of the student protest movement that ousted former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina last year succumbed to gunshot wounds. Sharif Osman Hadi had been receiving treatment in Singapore after being shot in Dhaka. The BBC's Arunde Mukherjee has more.
The protests turned violent as demonstrators attacked the newspaper offices of Prothomalo and Daily Star. Troops had to be deployed while firefighters rescued journalists trapped inside the burning building. Mr. Hadi was a prominent leader of the youth movement that ousted former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina last year. He was also slated to contest as an independent candidate in the upcoming elections in February. Calling Mr. Hadi's death an irreparable loss for the nation, Bangladesh's caretaker leader Muhammad Yunus declared Saturday to be a day of national mourning.
For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo Mwepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
And coming up in your sports news this hour, the AFCON tournament kicks off in just 2 days, while newly crowned sports personality of the year, Rory McIlroy, believes he still has a lot to achieve. I'll tell you more at 12:30.
This is Africa Update, your pulse to the continent. Stories shaping nations and voices driving change. Stay informed, stay connected, right here on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
We're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on DSTV's audio bouquet channel 802, on OpenView channel 628, and on www.channelafrica.co.za, as well as on the SABC Plus app, available on the Apple and Google Play stores. Coming up in this hour.
If we don't get funding that comes in a way that we call flexible, we're going to see these problems continue.
Our leaders are meeting in Geneva this week to review a global agreement meant to protect refugees.
And at the same time, we don't extract the venom, we only sell out the scorpions. We are hoping for government to give us their own assistance.
And young entrepreneurs in Nigeria are farming scorpions to supply venom for medical research. Join us in conversation on our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube at Channel Africa 1. On Facebook at Channel Africa, you can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 at 406 9126 hashtag Africa Update, and let us know which country you're in. And if you have any stories that you'd like us to highlight or to focus on, send us an email. It is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or give us a call on +2711 714 4459.
Your window to the continent and beyond. Africa Update, only on Channel Africa. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Today on hashtag Africa Update asks, Zambia's Constitutional Court has rejected a bid to block Speaker Nelly Muti's decision to declare the Chawama seat vacant over MP Tarsila Lungu's prolonged absence. Now, our question to you is, what do you make of the latest decision affecting the Lungu family? Share your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 at 406 9126 hashtag Africa Update Us.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K,
or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
See, Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. Enjoy the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
It is 10 after 12 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Zambia's Constitutional Court has rejected a bid to block Speaker Nelly Muti's decision to declare the Chawama seat vacant over MP Tarsila Lungu's prolonged absence, finding little chance of success. The ruling clears the way for a January 15th, 2026 by-election, as the main case continues after Lungu was absent for over 6 months amid issues surrounding her father Edgar Lungu's burial. And for more on this, we are joined by a Zambian political analyst and a citizen empowerment advocate, Diamond Siulapwa. Advocate Siulapwa, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update. Are you? I'm hoping that the connection is a good one. Are you there? All right, so while Tracy tries to get him back on the line to unpack this big story that is coming out of Zambia, it's just to speak on the issues of the prolonged absence of the former president of Zambia, Edgar Lungu, as the late president, where there is a case in South Africa that is still in the court. Advocate Seulapwa, I'm told you're back on the line. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Thank you very much.
Now, what is your immediate reaction to the Constitutional Court's decision to uphold the Speaker's declaration of the Chawama seat vacancy, and how significant is this ruling in Zambia's broader constitutional and political landscape?
I was one. I mean,
All right, Advocate Seulapwa, unfortunately, the connection is not the greatest. We will try and get back to you with regards to the story, because it is a big story that is unfolding in Zambia, and with the impact of the late former president of Zambia, Edgar Lungu, having passed in South Africa, and his family wanting him to be buried here in South Africa, and just the case that continues. And now his daughter is facing challenges in the Zambia Parliament, where she may lose her seat, or basically has that seat has been sort of taken away from her. And this is something that Advocate Seulapwa would be unpacking for us. It is 13 after 12 Central African Time.
As 2025 draws to a close, we pause to honor the spirits that connect us.
Let's get it started.
The festive season reminds us of what truly matters: family, community, and unity. No matter where you gather or reflect, Channel Africa is with you, bringing you stories and voices that are shaped by the African perspective.
Something significant happened on this day. Asanda, you were a baby, I'm sure. I'm not even sure if you were born. No, you were a baby, yeah.
Yoga. Matseko is still trying to convince me and flip me
No,
over
I've done that already, and you're going to come now on the journey.
I will try.
From all of us to all of you, may your season be safe and peaceful. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Africa Update on Channel Africa.
All right, we go back to the Zambia. We're focusing on Zambia basically with Advocate Daimon Seulapwa, who is a political analyst and a citizen empowerment advocate. Now, what is your immediate reaction to this Constitutional Court's decision, firstly? And, how significant is this ruling in Zambia's broader constitutional and political landscape?
well, the ruling the ruling was fair, and constitutional-wise, I think it was sound. I think to both the member of parliament, Tasila herself, and most importantly, the people of Chawaman. Because, the country cannot mourn in perpetuity, and they cannot wait for representation. Parliament is a constitutional institution. It's not a family holding space. So,
Diamond, are you there?
Can you hear me?
All right, we keep
Yes, I'm
losing.
here.
Yes, okay, that sounds a lot better. I think stick to that spot and don't move around, because we lose out on key areas or points that you're making. Now, just looking at the death of.
I'm not even moving my head.
Okay, great. Now, looking at the death of the late former president Edgar Lungu, it has exposed tensions between political processes and customary expectations around burial rights. Now, months on, amid prolonged silence and uncertainty, what are Zambians saying on the ground with regards to how this matter has been handled?
On the ground, things are now a little bit calm. People have actually moved on. The barrier impasse is now widely viewed as a political fight between the government and the local family. So both the family and the state are seen as have just mishandled the whole thing, driven by political power struggle and mistrust of each other. So people are torn in between. They don't know what to do, but people have moved on now. People are not even talking about it anymore.
And just focusing on what is being said on the ground about Tasila Lungu's prolonged absence from Parliament and just the results being by-elections, do they view this primarily as a legal necessity, a political maneuver, or a human tragedy complicated by unresolved family and state disputes?
I think this is a necessity. It's not. It's got nothing to do with politics.
Diamond, are you there? All right, we're having some serious network challenges there with Diamond Siulapwa, who is a Zambian political analyst. Okay, you're back with us.
People of Shawama benefited because she was close to the president. She was the president, not the former president. So development in the constituency was very.
All right, we've lost Diamond there again. Unfortunately, we are going to have to leave it there for today due to the connection and just issues they were having with the network. That is a political analyst and citizen empowerment advocate, Diamond Siulapwa, who was joining us from Zambia. It is 18 after 12 Central African Time.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time. The sound of Africa is evolving. Experience our new mobile app. Free to download, free to connect.
Téléchargez l'application Channel Africa sur votre Play Store ou Apple Store afin de pouvoir suivre toutes nos émissions en direct de là où vous vous trouvez. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Africa Update on Channel Africa.
It is 19 after 12 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Today on hashtag Africa Update Asks, Zambia's Constitutional Court has rejected a bid to block Speaker Nelly Muti's decision to declare the Chawama seat vacant over MP Tasila Lungu's prolonged absence. Now, our question to you today is, what do you make of the latest decision affecting the Lungu family? Share your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763. That's 406-9126. Hashtag Africa Update, and let us know which country you're in. And if you have any stories that you'd like us to highlight or to focus on, send us an email. It is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or give us a call on +27 11 714 449126. And that is hashtag Africa Update Ask. A lot coming out from Zambia, and unfortunately we lost that Diamond there who was unpacking that story. It is 20 after 12 Central African Time.
Let the good times roll. From the 10th of October, make a note. Channel Africa is stepping into a brand new era with the launch of our upgraded website and app. It's easy, fresh, and always on your fingertips. Wherever you are in the world, Africa's voice is just a click away. The future of Channel Africa goes live from the 10th of October. Don't miss the moments.
Es-tu préoccupé par quelque chose? Es-tu passionné par les questions qui comptent? As-tu une voix qui mérite d'être entendue? Eh bien, nous avons la plateforme parfaite pour toi. Téléphone-nous ou fais-nous un WhatsApp au +27 66 408 87 42 et nous te rappellerons. Sois dans la conversation.
Salut Channel Africa, ici Beno le diamant rouge et Bina l'Export depuis le Cameroun, le pays des lions. Voilà.
Sois dans la conversation. Il ne s'agit pas seulement de parler, mais c'est C'est ta chance d'exprimer ton point de vue, de partager tes opinions et de t'engager avec une communauté qui valorise ton avis. Suivez-nous sur les réseaux sociaux, visitez notre site www.channelafrica.co.za et préparez-vous à partager vos points de vue sur Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
It is 21 after 12 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Our leaders are meeting in Geneva this week to review a global agreement meant to protect refugees. But in Africa's biggest refugee hosting country, Uganda, the reality on the ground is putting that promise to the test. Michael Baleke has more.
Uganda is often praised for its open-door refugee policy. Nearly 2 million refugees live here, most fleeing war in DR Congo and Sudan. Refugees are allowed to work, move freely, and use public services, but the system is under growing pressure. This year alone, more than 140,000 people have arrived, overwhelming reception centers and stretching food supplies. Funding cuts have forced aid agencies to reduce rations and in some cases suspend food assistance altogether. Frank Walusimbi from the UN Refugee Agency in Uganda warns that richer countries are stepping back, leaving host nations like Uganda to shoulder the burden.
We are getting so many people that need healthcare services, mental health and psychosocial support, and a lot of other services in the health sector. If you talk about wash, we've seen people struggling to get water. In Nachivale here, it is 7.4 liters per person per day. That is so little. It is very, very little. And we are thinking if we don't get funding that comes in a way that we call flexible to mean that we can allocate it to the different sectors without having to earmark it to certain activities, we're going to see these problems continue.
This week, Japan donated rice worth more than $2 million, helping feed new arrivals in their first days. It's a welcome relief, but officials say it's not a long-term fix. Refugee advocates warn that when host communities are also struggling, resentment can grow, a concern familiar to South Africans watching migration debates at home. They fear refugee protection is becoming political, traded for funding, instead of being treated as a shared global responsibility. Michael Baleke, SABC News, Kampala.
Africa Update on Channel Africa.
As South Africa's parliament rises for the year, moments of reflection and goodwill have cut across party lines, with members of parliament setting aside political differences to acknowledge a demanding year, honour colleagues who have passed on, and wish one another and South Africans a safe festive season. Mkokeli Bandla has more.
National Assembly Speaker Thoko Titiza led the closing reflections, thanking parliamentary staff for their work under difficult circumstances, remembering members who passed away and urging MPs to travel safely as they return home for the holidays.
We must also express our appreciation to the administration of Parliament for all their efforts throughout this challenging term. Honourable members, I also note that during this year, we lost some of our members who have been called to higher service. We remember them and their families, and we also appreciate the service they have paid in our society. And I trust that as we go home, we will travel safely, spend time with families and our loved ones over the festive season. Please, those of you who are driving, drive safely and arrive alive.
Across the aisle, all parties echoed the message of appreciation, with the DA Chief Whip George Michalakis acknowledging constructive engagement in the House and wishing MPs time to reconnect with their families.
I wish to thank all of our colleagues in this House on both sides for the mostly constructive debates. The presiding officers, especially Madam Speaker, and the Chief Whip of the government for the excellent working relationship, as well as the Chief Whip of the opposition, all three of them. I wish you all a peaceful and much-deserved December break. May you get to spend precious time with those we often neglect in this work, but without whom we would not be able to fulfill our calling of serving our beautiful country, our families. I wish you all well.
The MK Party's Des van Rooyen used the moment to call for a renewed focus on solutions over positions, encouraging MPs to return refreshed and ready for the work ahead in the new year.
Let us argue less about positions and more about solutions. Let us prioritize the people over the politics, and let us return with fresh energy, ready to work, ready to lead, and with microphones that hopefully will finally function as we occupy the revamped Dome in January, and we are told that we'll also occupy the new restored Parliament building in November. MKP wishes you a restful and enjoyable festive break. To those traveling, we wish you a safe journeys to your respective destination. Siyabonga, Rialiboha, Paya Danki, we thank you.
While maintaining a political edge, the EFF's Hlengiwe Mkhaliphi reminded MPs of the responsibilities that await them in the new year, urging them to rest now ahead of what she says will be an intensified push for accountability and transformation.
Please pull up your socks, because when we come back in 2026, we need you a venue to accommodate all 400 MPs. We need to ensure that the executive is accountable. We are the legislative body. We are not the extension of executive. So therefore, we need all of them here. They must not be dodgy. To EFF Grand Forces, we are going to meet here next year, same place. Please go and rest, because we are ready to take up the GNU up. We need to fight this until the poor black child is having freedom.
IFP Chief Whip Nhlanhla Hadebe highlighted road safety and responsible behavior over the festive season, while praising the quality of debate in Parliament as a sign of democracy at work.
We reiterate our plea to the people of South Africa to practice safety when driving, to avoid excessive drinking, and to let shop owners know that they will face the full extent of the law if they sell alcohol to minors. We also wish to express our appreciation for the mature debates that have taken place in this House throughout the year. We have truly witnessed democracy in action. Honorable members, let us take this time to rest well and return ready to continue serving the people of South Africa.
Despite sharp political differences throughout the year, the final sitting saw MPs united in reflection, gratitude and well wishes, closing off a demanding parliamentary year with a shared message of safety, rest and renewed commitment to serving South Africans in the year ahead. Mkokeli Bandla, SABC News, Parliament.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
Join us in conversation on our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube at Channel Africa 1. On Facebook at Channel Africa, you can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 at 406-9126 hashtag Africa Updates, and let us know which country you're in. And if you have any stories that you'd like us to highlight or to focus on, send us an email. It is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or give us a call on +2 2711-714-4459. It's 12:30, and our news up next.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet, Channel 628. SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Lulu. Good afternoon. Making headlines, mass atrocities in Sudan's Darfur region show alarming indicators associated with the risk of genocide. This is according to the United Nations Special Advisor on the Prevention of Genocide, Chaloka Beyani, who has completed a mission to Kenya. The Border Management Authority in South Africa says it is experiencing a shortage of staff this festive season amid increased cross-border traffic volumes. And finally, mental health experts have warned of a rise in social fatigue, with people entering the new year emotionally depleted from the festive season. This is due to constant socializing, disrupted routines and financial strain. I will have details on these and other stories at 1 o'clock.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective. Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Well, it's a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Mosibu Dimakura with the latest sports news at this hour. So with just 2 days to go before the opening kick-off of the Total Energies CAF Africa Cup of Nations tournament in Morocco, the host nation has begun to welcome the first wave of contenders, each arriving adding colour, culture as well as anticipation to Africa's biggest football spectacle. Now, among the early teams to arrive for Africa's flagship sports event are the Comoros Island, who will face the host nation in the opening match of the competition in Rabat on Sunday night. The likes of Mali, Angola, Egypt, Benin, Zimbabwe, South Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Zambia, Nigeria, Uganda, as well as Sudan, all are scheduled to have arrived and did so on Thursday night, while the further teams will touch down on Friday as Morocco completes its transformation into the beating heart of African football. Well, Bafana arrived in Morocco last night for the Africa Cup of Nations tournament to end, hopefully, a 30-year title drought. The team, led by coach Hugo Bruce, has a strong squad with a mix of experienced players as well as rising stars. Now, the family of Bafana as well as Orlando Pirates player Evidence Makgopa, who is from Gamba village just outside Begosport in South Africa's Limpopo province, has wished the team as well as Makgopa well at this year's tournament. Speaking through an interpreter, Makgopa's parents, Tabita as well as Chichele Makgopa, say they are proud of his achievement and are also looking ahead to Africa's performance, or rather South Africa's performance at this year's tournament.
What I want to say is that God knows everything. I wish him good luck. The most important thing for him is to follow all the instructions given by the coach. I've been watching him since he was 8 years old, and the way he played soccer, you could tell he's got talent.
I am very excited as his mother that Evidence will be playing at the AFCON tournament. I wish him all the best. Whenever he's going, he must play well.
Now, some of the community members for Gamba village in Gapasha, where Makgopa grew up, have also expressed excitement that one of their own is participating in the AFCON tournament. Now, Jabu Matabata as well as Kamogelo Sekgobela explains.
As community members, we are happy to see him moving forward, and I hope South Africa is happy about this too. We hope he will keep doing what he did last time at AFCON. I grew up with Evidence Makgopa, and he's my neighbor. We, his fans, wish him all the best as he's going to play at AFCON.
On to this now, newly crowned Sports Personality of the Year winner Rory McIlroy says he has a lot more to achieve after an incredible 2025. Northern Ireland's McIlroy became just the sixth man to complete a career Grand Slam of all four majors when he won the Masters in a thrilling finish in April of this year. Now, the 36-year-old then played a pivotal role in Europe's Ryder Cup win in September, contributing 3.5 points as they sealed a first victory in the USA since 2012. McIlroy's victory at the Masters came 14 years after he looked set to win at Augusta National, having led by 4 strokes after 3 rounds back in 2011 before falling away. But he held his nerve this year to claim his first green jacket in a playoff after a late charge from Ryder Cup teammate Justin Rose. He also clinched a 7th Race to Dubai title in 2025 and a 4th one in a row, and now sits one shy of Colin Montgomery's record of 8 European titles. And finally, the Junior Golf Foundation is set to host the NCBA Kenya Junior Invitational 2025, the largest and most prestigious event on the U.S. kids golf calendar in Kenya. Now, the tournament, which is in the final event of the Junior Golf calendar, will take place from the 20th until the 22nd of December at the Windsor Golf Hotel and Country Club, and is expected to attract approximately 120 elite elite junior golfers from across the globe. Now a cornerstone event on the regional junior golf calendar, the NCBA Junior Invitational has grown steadily over the years, earning a reputation for world-class organization, strong competition and international participation. So the 2025 edition will feature juniors from 8 countries, including the host nation Kenya, Uganda, Lithuania, India, Thailand, Norway, Nigeria, as well as China, reinforcing the tournament's growing global confidence. And that concludes your sports news this hour. It is 12:36 p.m. Central African Time. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. I'm back with more sports news with the Upside team in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Africa, meet Abedi.
Yeah, that's me.
Abedi is a music lover through and through.
I really love African music.
He's got a taste for all kinds of tunes and spends his days listening to Channel Africa. Guess what? He didn't know.
Okay.
Channel Africa wants to help Abedi and all music lovers everywhere to discover even more incredible music. That is why Channel Africa is calling on all African musicians to submit their music. Musicians, remember to give us all your relevant information. Make your submissions at music@channelafrica.co.za. Submissions are your chance to be heard on radio. But sadly, they do not guarantee that you will be playlisted. All submissions will be carefully reviewed to see if they meet our station's requirement. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Business news on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
A very good afternoon. The National Gambling Board of South Africa is intensifying education drive to promote responsible gambling. With the festive season in full swing, reckless spending and risk-taking concerns are growing around gambling harm and illegal gambling operators. Awareness, regulation and consumer protection are central to the board's efforts. Lungile Dukwana is the board's acting CEO.
Most of the people would have got their bonuses, would have been paid at work, and everybody's rushing for the festive season. And as part of that, there are a lot of the illegal gambling sites that will be taking chances in relation to attracting people to come and gamble with them. Some of them are the illegal ones, which may be problematic in terms of the safety, but also in terms of making sure that there's responsible gambling. And we are concerned about those ones, and we are warning our customers.
At the start of 2025, Africa's agricultural sector appeared to be on a recovery path following a severe drought in the previous season. However, this fragile rebound was quickly tested by rising trade tensions. The United States introduced reciprocal tariffs while within the region. Botswana repeatedly imposed bans on South African vegetable imports. Malawi also rolled out restrictions on a range of imported goods. A senior agricultural economist at the South Africa-based National Agricultural Marketing Council, Thabile Nkunjana, says that trade restrictions in Africa are affecting the free trade approach.
The trade restrictions that we are seeing in the continent, they are really, distorting the dream that is to see the Africa Free Trade area, expanding and actually operating, efficiently. Because one of the key things that have led to Africa sort of having a stagnant in its trade within the continent, it has been the protectionism. This has to do with the higher tariffs that each or other African countries imposed on other African countries.
Morocco's annual inflation, measured by the Consumer Price Index, rose to 0.3% in September from 0.1% a month earlier. Food prices, as the main driver of inflation, dropped 1.2% from a year earlier, while non-food inflation increased to 0.4%. Core inflation, which excludes more volatile goods, dropped to 0.9% year-on-year and 0.4% month-on-month. The Moroccan Central Bank says inflation will average 0.8% this year before picking up to 1.3% in 2026 and 1.9% in 2027. The Bank of Japan raised interest rates to levels unseen in 3 decades and signaled its readiness for further hikes, taking another landmark step in ending decades of huge monetary support and near-zero borrowing costs. It also removed language that growth and inflation will stagnate due to the impact of higher U.S. tariffs. This has underscored the central bank's conviction that Japan was on course to stably hit its 2% inflation target, backed by wage gains and ready for a continued normalization of monetary policy. In a statement, the Bank of Japan says, judging from recent data and surveys, there is a high chance the mechanism in which wages and inflation rise moderately in tandem will be sustained. European Union leaders have struck a deal to provide Ukraine with a loan of more than $100 billion over the next 2 years to fund its war against Russia. They reached the compromise in late-night talks after failing to agree on a plan to use frozen Russian assets. The President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, made the announcement.
As a matter of urgency, we will provide a loan backed by the European Union budget. This will address the urgent financial needs of Ukraine. And Ukraine will only repay this loan once Russia pays reparations. The Union reserves its right to make use of the immobilized asset to repay this loan.
$1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 453. In Botswana, it's at 13.8. Kenya 128 shillings 3, and Zambia 22 kwacha 93. The BRICS countries in Brazil, the dollar there will cost you 5.50. Russia 80 rubles 1, India 90 rupees 47, China 7.13, and in South Africa the dollar will cost you 16 rand 77 cents. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. On the commodities markets, platinum $1,955 and platinum $4,335 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $60.10 a barrel. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business in Johannesburg, I'm Tabisolo Hoko.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Stay tuned to Channel Africa. Stream us on our new and updated website, channelafrica.co.za. Africa Update, your daily dose of African insights with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
It is 12:44 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. The United States has condemned South Africa's recent detention of U.S. officials who, it said, were providing support to the Afrikaner minority group. Our 2 U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services refugee officers were briefly detained and then released during an operation on Tuesday. South Africa has since deported 7 Kenyan nationals illegally working on processing refugee applications for the U.S. government. The Kenyan nationals were arrested and deported for illegally working in South Africa while in possession of tourist visas following an intelligence-driven operation in Johannesburg. And to discuss this further, we have on the line Dr. Charles Sinkala, an international relations expert. Dr. Sinkala, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update. Dr. Sinkala, are you there? All right, we'll try and get Dr. Sinkala on the line just to unpack this story that has broken, and it has made headlines across not only South Africa but obviously the globe with regards to what has unfolded there. Dr. Sinkala, are you there? Dr. Sinkala? All right, we seem to be having some network challenges and we'll try and get him back on the line. You're listening to Africa Updates, coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. And join us in conversation on our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube at Channel Africa 1. On Facebook at Channel Africa, you can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763. That's 406 9126. Hashtag Africa Updates, and let us know which country you're in. And if you have any stories that you'd like us to highlight or to focus on, send us an email. It is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or give us a call on +2711 714 4459.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
Dr. Sinkala, I'm told you are back on the line. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update. All right. We hope that at some point we will be able to speak to Dr. Sinkala and just unpack the story. Dr. Sinkala is an international relations expert, and the focus is generally the U.S. state condemning South Africa's recent detention of U.S. officials who it said were providing support to the Afrikaner minority group with Kenyan nationals. Seven Kenyan nationals were arrested and deported for illegally working in South Africa while in possession of tourist visas. And it is 12:48 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa.
Taking the African perspective to fresh levels.
From Channel Africa, we're about to have ourselves a good time right now. It's a whole thing.
You've partnered up with Focalistic, based on a true story.
You know, it's actually crazy for you to put it like that, partnered up. You know, this is someone I look up to from a very long time. 3 years ago, we put out a single, Pele Pele.
Yeah.
You know, that was my first record with him. This project, based on a true story, the album was so highly anticipated and premeditated on our end, you know, because something we constantly, you know, kept on going back and forth about, but we never actioned it. It's actually quite crazy because all of this is happening whilst we are both working on our albums. You know, I'm working on my album 31314 because there's a record, 31314, the interlude. So it's like a prelude to the album, you know.
Let me pronounce it properly. Is it 31314? 31314.
The Upside. Live and real. It's dynamic. Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
In Nigeria, young entrepreneurs are farming scorpions to supply venom for medical research. It is a risky business with potentially big rewards, and it's fueling fresh debate about safety, regulation, and ownership. Tessem Akende delves deeper.
It's feeding time for the scorpions and a chance for them to warm up in the sun. They are fed worms, insects, and egg crumbs, part of a carefully managed routine. Scorpion farming is gaining ground in parts of Nigeria, driven by rising global demand for venom used in medical research. For now, Sunday sells live scorpions, but says the real value lies in venom extraction.
The size of the scorpions, the requirement is 7-inch, and at the same time, we don't extract the venom, we only sell out the scorpions. We are hoping for government to give us their own assistance, maybe by, instead of we selling the scorpions, if we can get the right equipment, we can extract the venom from here by ourselves.
Health experts say venom extraction requires advanced equipment and strict regulation, but the medical potential is significant.
The equipment to be able to stimulate the gland area where these venom are produced in the scorpion, to be able to release them, and then the capillaries too, to be able to extract the venom. And then also, they need to be refined also in the laboratory. And so here, individuals may not be able to produce or to provide all of these equipment. So government has to come in. Brain cancer, gliomas, prostate cancers, cervical cancers. Research has shown that some of the peptide that has been extracted from scorpion venom is used to treat cancer.
Across Africa, including South Africa, researchers are increasingly exploring nature-based solutions for health and innovation. But in Nigeria, government support for scorpion farming remains unclear. While authorities have pledged to back agriculture and economic diversification, there is no specific policy covering venom production. For farmers like Sunday, the hope is that scorpion farming could offer a foothold in the global health economy. Tefsum Akendi, Jos.
The sound of Africa is evolving. Experience our new mobile app. Free to download, free to connect.
Well, it is that time of the day where we say a happy Friday to Tebogo Kuleni of the Upside team. How are you today?
Fantastic, Lulu. How are you doing? Humid.
It is humid. It's very humid, And when we tell people that this weather is all 4 seasons in a day,
they don't believe us.
Cape Town weather.
They don't believe us.
Yeah, so what's coming up today?
Here's what's coming up on the Upside this afternoon. We get into conversation about a University of Pretoria study that has found that mother tongue teaching is key to stronger literacy in South African classrooms. Very important conversation. And then later on, we have a conversation with a chef about how the SA Chefs Association is opening up applications for the 2026 Brian Montgomery Bursary to support young aspiring chefs. If you know someone who wants to be a chef and pursue their culinary career, this conversation is for them. And then we've got DJ Lag, who will be joining us in studio to provide our DJ mix this afternoon. And then we get into conversation about... We're going to be forced to do a dance challenge, and I'm not the biggest fan of it because I've got two left feet.
Okay, I was just going to get to that. Can you dance?
I've got 2 left feet, right?
Okay.
But we're going to be joined by that'samove.co.za and AI Shapo, who are inviting South Africans to showcase their creativity in the official Snokonoko challenge. I have no idea. You'll have to find out and tune in later.
Okay, we'll have to tune in and find out.
It's on social media. It's on TikTok. People are doing the Snokonoko challenge. Me with my 2 left feet. It's going to be hilarious. That's all coming up this afternoon.
Right. Definitely something to look forward to on the Upside from the top of the hour with Tebogo Kuleni and Matseko Musito. Well, we continue on Africa Update, and there's a lot that's happening as we speak in terms of just the news and what is making headlines across the globe. It is 12:54 Central African Time.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
Sudan has been named the world's most neglected crisis of 2025. This is according to a Context Crisis poll of 22 leading aid organizations. The humanitarian catastrophe engulfing Sudan has unleashed horrific violence on children and uprooted nearly a quarter of the population. Some 30 million Sudanese people, roughly equivalent to Australia's population, need assistance, but experts warn that warehouses are nearly empty. Aid operations face collapse and 2 cities have tipped into famine. Tutongobeni compiled this report.
Since the 15th of April in 2023, there has been an active civil war in Sudan between 2 rival factions of the country's military government. The conflict involves the internationally recognized government controlled by the Sudanese Armed Forces SAF, led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and consisting of the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Republican Guard, and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces RSF, led by General Hemeti, who leads the broader Janjaweed coalition. Fighting began after a power struggle within the military government that had power following the October 2021 coup. The conflict has caused nearly 12 million to be forcibly displaced, both inside Sudan and across its borders, making it one of the largest displacement crises in recent history. Now, the Context Crisis poll of 22 leading aid organizations has voted Sudan as the most neglected crisis of the year 2025. United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF representative Sheldon Yett says the Sudan crisis is the most neglected in the world when looking at the scale of the crisis in comparison to others.
I think it's true. The Sudan crisis really is the most neglected crisis in the world. When you look at the massive scale of this crisis, the fact that you have some 21 million people, that's more than many European countries, who are facing food insecurity. You have nearly 8 million children out of school, the largest education emergency in the world. You have famine. You have just the most atrocious tragedies, the most atrocious devastation. We have the bombing of health centers, of schools, the targeting of children. We have some 30 million people requiring life-saving support. The scale is enormous. And you look at those numbers, and it's hard to understand why this crisis is so neglected.
Yet says the crisis is being neglected because it's not happening next to Europe, and says it will continue to grow.
I think it's neglected in part because the narrative is difficult for many people to understand. There's no obvious good guys or obvious bad guys. It's confusing to people. It's an area of the world which, unfortunately, people associate conflict with. It's not happening on the periphery of Europe like the Ukraine crisis. It's not happening in the Middle East like Gaza. And I think people's eyes glaze over. It's unfortunate because people continue to die by the millions here. And if we don't pay attention, the millions will continue to grow. They will continue to cross borders, to arrive in Europe and arrive in the United States. And this crisis will continue to grow.
He further says it's imperative that the story of this crisis should continue being told, and those responsible for the loss of lives of children and the general population to be held accountable in international courts.
What do we need to do to address this? I think we need to ensure that humanitarian agencies like UNICEF have the funding. We need to make sure we have people on the ground, that we have sustained humanitarian access, that we have safe access. We need to ensure our staff are not targeted. We need to make sure that countries with influence over the warring parties continue to put pressure on those parties. We need to make sure that people are held accountable for what's happening here, that those who are targeting children, those who are killing people, are held accountable in international criminal courts. We need to make sure that we are telling the story, that we're not just talking about numbers, that we're talking about the lives of children.
Yet says the impact of the aid cuts have had a bearing on the supplies and staff needed to respond to this emergency, which are all needed urgently.
What's been the impact of these cuts? Well, the impact has been enormous. We don't have the staff we need, we don't have the supplies we need, and people continue to die.
Meanwhile, harrowing new details emerged on Thursday in a UN report detailing targeted sexual violence and summary executions in Sudan's North Darfur region, attributed to paramilitary fighters who overran the city of El Fasher in late October. Volker Turk, United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, highlights the report's findings.
Our report details killings, rape and torture and other violations that were committed during the three-day offensive on the Samsam IDP camp by the Rapid Support Forces in April this year. Over 1,000 civilians were killed, 319 of them summarily executed, some in their homes and others in the main market, in schools, health facilities and mosques. And more than 400,000 people were displaced once again. Such deliberate killing of civilians or persons hors de combat may constitute the war crime of murder. There must be an impartial, thorough and effective investigation into the attack on the camp, and those responsible for serious violations of international law must be punished. At least 104 people, including 75 women, 26 girls and 3 boys, most of them from the Sagawa ethnic tribe, were subjected to gruesome sexual violence, including rape and gang rape and sexual slavery. Sexual violence appears to have been deliberately used to inflict terror on the community. These horrific patterns of violations, committed with impunity, are consistent with what my office has repeatedly documented, including during the RSF takeover of El Fasher in October.
For Channel Africa News, I am Tuto Ngobeni in Johannesburg.
Well, and that's how we wrap Africa Update today. And for myself, Lulu Gaboo, today is my last day in 2025. I will be back in the new year, all rested up and ready to go. Wishing you all the best this festive season. And you definitely have to continue with us on all our social media platforms. And we will do this again next year. Goodbye.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Well, a big thank you to Lulu Gaboo and team. Enjoy your vacation, your rest, well deserved. We'll see you in 2026. It's now time for the upside from one.
The stand of the United Nations is not only a competent court can make a decision on that aspect, but we can assess the likelihood of the risk of genocide using the atrocity framework. But you have about 11.3 million people internally displaced. There are about 3.5 or 4 million refugees in and around the region. And I spoke to some of the refugees here in Nairobi, and their trauma is quite obvious, that they need healing, they need support. But also there are reported to be 70,000 people still missing and unaccounted for in Darfur.
Leo Bazal III has been confirmed as the next U.S. ambassador to South Africa. The conservative activist and media critic has pledged to advance President Donald Trump's invitation to Afrikaners who seek to flee what he calls unjust racial discrimination. He was confirmed in a block vote of 97 nominees on a party line vote. All Democrats voted against the confirmation. Sharon Bryce Pease reports.
Bozell might be eager to get to work as the next U.S. envoy to Pretoria. He was nominated in March and said at his confirmation hearing that it was a challenging moment for U.S.-South Africa relations. He also said he planned to press South Africa to end proceedings against Israel at the International Court of Justice, where the charge is genocide in Gaza, and promised to advance President Trump's invitation to Afrikaners seeking to flee South Africa. He'll replace Reuben E. Brigety II, who stepped down in January, and into a delicate moment on all diplomatic fronts.
The Border Management Authority in South Africa says it is experiencing a shortage of staff this festive season amid increased cross-border traffic volumes. However, it has received a shot in the arm with law enforcement personnel deployed to assist. BMA Commissioner Michael Masiapato says they were operating at 24% capacity. Masiapato conducted a walkabout at the Vicksburg port of entry in the Free State province.
Yes, indeed. During this particular period, as the Border Management Authority, we become seriously pressured to be able to deliver on this mandate, primarily because you will be aware that we are operating at 24% in as far as capacity is concerned, whilst we are actually in a bit of shortage, over 70%. So that